Hello, Sudoku friends, and welcome to Sudoku.com puzzle. I'm trying to go to the most difficult level here, which seems to be the evil level. And I want to see how this one goes. I can see there's a 7 here and a 7 here, and that puts a 7 in this cell right here, doesn't it? And this 6 and this 6 puts a 6 in this cell, like so. There's a 6 in this column and there's a 6 in this column. We need to find a 6 for column 9. And because of the 6 here, this is where it's gonna go. The 1 here puts a 1 in one of these two cells, but that's all I can say about the ones at this time. Here's a pattern that we often see. Let's examine the 2, 3, 6, and a 7 here. We need to find 2, 3, 6, and 7 for these cells here. We already have a 2 and a 6, of course. So we need to find homes for a 3 and a 7. And it so happens that this cell here can be seen by a 3 and a 7. So now we know that these two cells must be a 3 and a 7 in some order. And that gives me a 1, if I'm not mistaken. So if a 1 can't go in either of these two cells, and the 1 here blocks these two cells, we know now that a 1 will have to go in this cell or in this cell. So a ghost 1 here and a 1 here puts a 1 in one of these two cells. And it cannot go here because of the 1 already present in column 1. So this is where the 1 goes. The 1 here and here and the 1 here prohibit a 1 from going here, here, and here. This cell is going to be a 1. And that puts an 8 in this cell because of the 8 here. There is no other place an 8 can go in row number 1. These two cells now have to be a 2 and a 4, and therefore a 2 will have to go in one of these two cells, but we knew that because there's a 2 here, of course, already. And since we have a 4 down here that blocks this cell, this now becomes a 2 and this becomes a 4. Now one of these two cells must be a 4. And this cell or this cell must be a 2 because of the 2 up here, the 2 here. Let's do a count on column 6. We need to find a 1, 4, 8, and a 9 to complete this column. There's a 1 here, there's a 9 here, there's a 4 here, and they block this cell, which now becomes a 8. The 8 here and the 8 here puts an 8, of course, in this cell like so. The 5 here blocks these two cells, and therefore a 5 must go in this cell. Remember that these two cells have to be a 3 and a 7. We have a 7 here, and therefore this must be a 3, and this is a 7. Now, one of these two cells must be a 7, and the other cell must be a 5, because we have a 5 here and we have a 5 here. So these two cells now are a 5, 7 pair. And that leaves a 1, 2, and a 4 to complete the column. And we have a 1 here and a 4 here. So this cell must be a 2. And this is now a 1 or a 4. And this is a 1 or a 4, except this cannot be a 1 because we have a 1 in this 3 by 3 block already. Therefore, this is a 4 and this is a 1, making this cell a 4. Now the 4 here and here puts a 4, of course, in this cell. The last cell up here is going to be a 9. We only need to fill a 2 and a 4 for this row, and there's a 4 already in this column. Therefore, this cell must be a 2, and this must be a 4. We have a 4 in column 1 and we have a 4 in column 3. We need to find a 4 for column 2. And it cannot go in this box, it cannot go in this box, it needs to go in this box. And it cannot go here because of this 4. Therefore, it goes here. The 2 in this column and the 2 in this column force a 2 to go here in column 2. And now we have a 2, 3, and we have a 2, 3. So we need to find a 2, 3 for row 9, and it cannot go in either of these two boxes. They have to go here and here. And that begs the question where now we can place a 1 in this row, since these two cells are now occupied. There's a 1 already in this box, and there's a 1 pointing to this cell. That means that this cell must be a 1. And that makes this last cell a 9, of course. These two cells now have to be a 7 and a 5. We'll have to wait a second before we find out which goes where, I think. But we can place a 9 here, because a 9 for row 9 will have to go here or here, won't it? Since these two are 2 and 3s, and we have a 9 already that blocks this cell. So it goes 9 here, and the 9 here puts a 9 in one of these two cells, except it can't go here due to the 9 up here in row 1. So this is a 9. Now we need to find a 5 and an 8 for these two cells. And while we think about that, we can plug in a 9 here, because of the 9 in this column and the 9 in this column. They block those 4 cells here. So this is now a 9. And now one of these two cells, of course, will have to be a 9. But it occurs to me that if these two have to be a 2 and a 3, where can we put a 1 now in this box 8? The 1 here blocks these two cells, therefore a 1 will have to go either here or here. So a ghost 1 here, and a 1 here, and a 1 here. It's the 1 in this cell. Now we need a 2, 3, and an 8 to complete this column. There's an 8 here and a 2 here, therefore this must be a 3. And since this is a 3, then this can no longer be a 3, it must be a 2, and the 3 will have to go here. And the 2 here blocks this cell, the 2 here blocks this cell, and that puts a 2 in this one, and therefore also a 2 in this cell here. Now we just need to enter an 8 to complete this column. This cell now, of course, must be a 5. So a 5 here and here puts a 5 in this cell like so. And now this cell cannot be a 5 anymore. It must be a 7. And the 5 will have to go here. And the 5 here and here now puts a 5 in this cell. Now we got a 5 here, and we got a 5 over here. And that means a 5 goes in this cell in column 1. The last digit here, of course, is going to be an 8. And this now must be a 4. And that puts a 4 in this cell, of course. And the last two digits now have to be a 1 and a 3. These two digits must be a 7 and a 9. That means that these two have to be a 6 and an 8. This one cannot be an 8 because of the 8 up here, so it must be a 6, and the 8 goes here. We still need to find a 6 for this row, and since it can't go here because of the newly found 6, we know it must go here. And now the 6 here and here, in combination with this 6, forces a 6 to go in this cell. This cell must be a 9 because it's the last digit missing from this row. And that makes this cell here, of course, a 9. And the other digit here was a 7. Must go here. This up here is going to be a 3, and that puts a 3 in this cell. And remember what this one, it was a 1. And of course, the 1 puts a 1 in this cell. And this is going to be a 7. No, it's not. It's going to be a 9. And that makes this one, of course, a 7. And this is a 7, and this is going to be a 3. This was the most difficult level that I could find on Sudoku.com. It was not that difficult, I think. I think an evil level puzzle should require pencil marks, to be honest. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed following this solve and that you'll be back for more soon. Thank you for watching and goodbye.